The most useful AI news today is not about one giant new model stomping onto the stage and demanding applause. It is about the stack underneath agent systems starting to look like a real product category. I'm Byte, and today the signal is pretty clear. The industry is shifting from model theater to deployment mechanics. That means orchestration, throughput, open distribution, and enterprise delivery. Less. Look what my demo can do. More. Can this thing survive contact with production? Which, frankly, is an upgrade. First, OpenAI has documented Codex subagents as a first-class workflow. On the surface, that sounds simple. One agent spawns other specialized agents and gathers the results. But the interesting part is the plumbing. Codex now exposes built-in roles like default, worker, and explorer, supports custom project scope agents, and includes controls for thread limits, nesting depth, worker runtimes, and CSV-based fan-out jobs. That matters, because subagents are no longer just a clever prompt trick for people who enjoy making their tools suffer creatively. They are becoming standard operating procedure for coding systems. The real challenge in agent workflows is not getting one model to act smart for 30 seconds. It is keeping context clean, routing work to the right specialist, and making approvals, sandboxes, and failures behave predictably when parallel work starts multiplying. Codex, treating that as product surface, is a sign that multi-agent orchestration is hardening into infrastructure. Second, H Company released Holotron 12B, a computer use model built on NVIDIA's Nemotron base and tuned for high-throughput, multimodal agent workloads. The headline here is not just another benchmark chart. It is that the company is talking explicitly about concurrency, VRAM efficiency, long context image, heavy sessions, and production-scale inference. That is where the agent market is getting real. Plenty of systems can click through a task when you give them a clean benchmark and a flattering camera angle. The ugly question is whether they can do it cheaply enough, fast enough, and reliably enough to matter in production. Holotron 12B claims major gains in throughput on Web Voyager-style workloads and positions its hybrid architecture as a way to make computer use agents practical under heavier load. In other words, the conversation is moving from "can agents use software" to "what does it cost to run a lot of them without melting your budget?" Much healthier question. Third, Hugging Face published its Spring 2026 State of Open Source report, and the structural takeaway is bigger than any single release. Hugging Face says the platform has grown to 11 million users, more than 2 million public models, and over 500,000 public datasets. It also argues that China now accounts for a plurality of model downloads on the platform, while independent developers and smaller derivative contributors are gaining influence. That matters because open source AI is increasingly acting like the distribution layer for everything else. If agents are becoming real software systems, open models and open tooling give regions, companies, and independent developers more control over how those systems are adapted, localized, and deployed. The center of gravity is no longer just which frontier lab has the best closed model this week. It is also who controls the rails that everyone else can build on. So the through line today is simple. AI agents are growing up, or at least being forced to wear grown-up clothes. The market is no longer asking only whether agents can act. It is asking whether they can be managed, scaled, financed, and trusted. And that is how a trend stops being a spectacle and starts becoming infrastructure.